Welcome back to Just 2 Minutes, Just a Mishnayos. This Mishnayos to the Nishmas, Fredele Basrachal, Nuschus of Eli Yitzchak Ben Gila, and their fast to Bashirish Davfush Lema. So Mesachas Bava Kama Paragimel, Mishnah Tes, and Mishnah Yud. Shar Shav Manish Shave Nagach Shar Shav Masayim. We have a case here where an ox which was worth 100 maneh, gored another ox which is worth 200, and the ox which gored is a tam, it hasn't damaged 3 times yet. Ve'ein hanavela yafeh klum, and the body of the animal which was killed, which was gored, isn't worth anything, so the damage was a full 200. Noitas ashar, so because we know there's a rule that tam pays half of the damage, and he pays up to the amount that he's worth, so because the ox is worth half the damage that it did, so we give the person whose ox was damaged this ox. If we have 2 oxen, both of them were worth 200, and one of them gored and killed the other one, and the body isn't worth anything. Meir says this is what it's talking about. It says that you sell the shar and you give half the money, because we have to sell the shar and give half of the money because it's worth 200, but he only has to pay 100 because he has to pay half. Rabbi Yehuda says yes, he agrees with Meir, but then he says he says it also says that they split the amount of the body. What does that mean? That's in a case where both of the oxen are worth 200, but after this ox was killed, it turns out that his body is worth 50, let's say, to make leather. So really the damage was only 150. So it turns out that the owner of the ox which damaged only has to pay 75, because the total damage was only 150, because he got 50 from the body, so he only has to pay 75. Mishnah Yod Yesh Chayv al Masa Sharai Upoter al Masa Atzmai Upoter al Masa Sharai V'Chayv al Masa Atzmai. There could be a case where someone doesn't have to pay for the actions of his ox, but he has to pay for his own actions. And there's a case where he has to pay for his ox's actions, but not for his own. The first example of someone who he doesn't have to pay for his ox's action, but he does have to pay for his own, is that we know that one of the things that if someone damages another person, one of the things that he has to pay for is busha. Because let's say that you broke this guy's arm, now he's going to be embarrassed to go out in public with a broken arm. But when an ox damages, he doesn't have to pay if the ox caused embarrassment through the damage. If he does, then he has to pay if the person does it himself. If someone makes his Eved Knani, his Knani slave, blind, or if he knocks out his tooth, so then he has to free him. But if his ox does it, he doesn't. So in that case, so also Potter So in that case, also if the ox does it, he doesn't. He's not responsible for his actions. But if he does it, then he is, and he has to free his slave. If someone's ox gored the owner's parents, so he has to pay his parents for the damage. But if he hurt his parents himself, so he doesn't have to pay. Why? Because he gets killed, and there's a rule that if someone is getting 2 punishments, and one of them is that he's getting killed, so because the fact that he's being killed is a more stringent punishment, so he only gets the more stringent one, so he doesn't have to pay. If someone's ox lights someone else's silo of wheat on fire on Shabbos, let's say it picks up like a flaming branch and throws it onto the silo, so he has to pay for the actions of his ox. But if the person does it himself, so he doesn't have to pay because he's going to be killed for desecrating Shabbos, and those are today's Mishnayos.